Hey guys, Braden here. Welcome back to LCW Productions. I'm here today with a very interesting video to discuss the future of LEGO Lord of the Rings. Before we get into that, make sure to like the video, comment down below what your thoughts are on this. Make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications to get notified about my future uploads. Let's go ahead and get right on into this. Okay guys, so we are going to basically make this video on why I believe the case is that the future for LEGO Lord of the Rings right now has a brighter future than it ever has. And I have some very solid reasons as to why I believe that is. So make sure that you watch throughout most of the video to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. We're going to start first with the idea that we're already getting direct-to-consumer sets, such as the Shire that we're going to get next year. Based on my speculation, I think we'll probably end up getting a Minas Tirith. We'll probably get a Helm's Deep. We might get an Edoras set, amongst other things. If you'd like to check out my top 10 LEGO Lord of the Rings sets that we need, you can check that video out. I'll put it in the cards right here. But essentially, we already know that we're going to get these sets. So we don't really need to address that. And when I say sets, I mean set, as in we know we're going to get the Shire. But what do I mean by the future of LEGO Lord of the Rings? And I guess what I'm referring to is potentially getting a play series line, getting expanded sets outside of Brickheads, outside of big, gate-kept sets that aren't accessible to your everyday fan. And so my argument is going to be more focused on where Lord of the Rings as a actual, just Lord of the Rings in general is heading, not just LEGO. And I think the Hunt for Gollum movie is going to be the thing that I see that is going to really solidify the future for LEGO Lord of the Rings. Now, I've been a Lord of the Rings fan for a very long time. I've loved LEGO Lord of the Rings for a very long time now. And I think if you guys are watching this video, I'd be willing to bet that you've watched a video in the past that was very much like this video, where someone was going to speculate future sets, or someone was saying why their case was at the time. I've always watched those videos and been like, yeah, it would be really nice if that was the case, but I just don't really see it happening. I'm making this video because I genuinely think that there is a case for this now, so let's just dive right into it. So, like I mentioned, the Hunt for Gollum movie is going to be coming out here in just a few years with reprising roles such as Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, such as Ian McKellen as Gandalf, Andy Serkis as Gollum, Peter Jackson taking the reins back up, Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh are going to be also screenplay and writing it as well. So, I mean, the whole team is coming back, okay? So, that means bright future. I will say that the reason why I think that we got Lord of the Rings sets revamped is because of the Rings of Power show, but I don't think the Rings of Power show was enough to push us over a certain threshold that would be needed to get play sets. Now, a big focus on this video is the idea of the expansion of the LEGO Lord of the Rings, theme is getting another playset line. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason why we got the first few waves in the first place was because of the the Hobbit movies. And so I think the Rings of Power show, because it's not directly connected to Lord of the Rings as, we know and love, and I will just go on and say I'm not a huge fan of the Rings of Power show. I think it's a disservice and discredit to the actual lore if you read the Silmarillion, and I'll just make sure I preference that. So I think that there is just an embedded sense of there was not enough push, whether the actual quality of the show was just not there, the fandom wasn't getting completely behind it, the actual love for the theme wasn't getting completely behind it. I don't think there was enough to get above that threshold, and so I think the Hunt for Gollum is exactly what we need. So again, my argument is that when the Hobbit movies came out, there was a good reason to suggest that playsets are definitely targeted more towards a younger audience. Rings of Power does not promote a younger audience, in my opinion. I believe that the Hunt for Gollum may do that. The Hobbit is supposed to be a children's story that was more of a PG-13 style in the movies, and so I think if they take that same approach with the Hunt for Gollum, you'll get that rejuvenated like sense from the kids, right? So you're trying to get the next generation of Lord of the Rings fans into Lord of the Rings. The best way to do that is put a movie out and market it towards, you know, kind of the preteen audience and adults, right? You don't want to get too young, but I mean, generally, Lord of the Rings sets were popular, I think, for like 10 plus, okay? And so I think that movie is exactly what is needed. So what I actually think the layout of a plan is right now, if there is one, there may not be one knowing Lego, but if there is a plan, it would probably look like this. We're going to get the Shire next year. We'll probably end up getting Minas Tirith the year after that. And then after that, we're probably going to see a line of sets. Now, if you're curious to know what kind of sets I think we may get, you can check the video that I've already put in the cards. So my other thing is, The Hobbit wasn't necessarily a huge original push for the theme. If you can recall back to 2012, The Lord of the Rings came out by itself. We had the announcement of the movie, and that was enough to get the sets. So I think Lord of the Rings is still arguably one of the more popular, like, just fandoms out there, period, point blank. And so the market share for this is there. And I think with this being said, the sets that would be made would be geared more towards children, but they would be more accessible for all the fans. I've heard from many people that they don't want to buy these $500 sets because they're just too expensive. But I've also been telling those people that, hey, if you want to see play sets, if you want to see more Lord of the Rings sets, you have to, like, just scream that out with your wallet, okay? If you want to show Lego that you want more Lego Lord of the Rings, you have to show them that you're willing to spend the money on it. And I think the thing is that we've only really gone adult-driven Lord of the Rings sets, which I don't really mind, but that does take away from the idea that we could potentially get, you know, more like smaller sets that might focus on a certain scene. We can get more minifigures. I think the overall idea of getting play sets is a generally positive one in almost every aspect that you can make in the argument. And so for those reasons, I think that my case for what I'm about to go into is truly solidified by the idea of the Hunt for Gollum movie coming out, similarly displayed to what would happen when the Hobbit movies came out. I think will be reciprocated. What is it going to be now? Like 12 years after the fact. So with that being said, let's go ahead and address the other things. So these other things really are, in my opinion, just what the sets will look like. So I think Lego is very aware that the Lord of the Rings audience is just going to generally be older. So I think even play sets that we get would still be derived towards an older audience, in my opinion. And so I think where my head goes is that we're going to get more direct-to-consumer style sets. That's just, in general, I think that makes the most sense. But I also think we'll get sets like dioramas. We'll probably get more brickheads. We'll probably get buildable things. And, you know, I would like to show off here. If you guys don't know what Bricker Builds is, they made this amazing Sting model. And I think that getting a Lego set like this would be extremely popular. If they made Sting or they made any of the other swords, I think that would just be absolutely awesome. But you can see right here that this is a very high quality model, and I think getting Lego sets like that is something that would be unique. I think it would sell well. We've gotten Captain America's shield. You know, that is still considered, you know, like an item that you would carry. So why couldn't that be passed on to Lord of the Rings being one of the swords or something along those lines? But I think that it's just realistic that would be the push rather than like really play-driven sets. I think just getting just more expanded sets in general would be ideal. I guess what I'm trying to say is literally anything would be fine. I think we can all agree that we just want more Lego Lord of the Rings. And the way to get there, I think right now, is that just keep going out, buying those big sets. I think, the Lord of the Rings sets that have come out, the Rivendell and the Barad-dûr, I truly believe that they are sets that are good enough that are worth skipping out on other sets to get. Like, if you were going to go buy a modular building and a few Star Wars sets, I mean, this is just my opinion, I would skip on a modular building. I would skip on the two, new Star Wars sets to go pick up the Barad-dûr. I mean, it looks phenomenal. And so does Rivendell. I personally believe that Rivendell is still a better set out of the two, but I think Barad-dûr is still far and none one of the better Lego sets we've ever gotten. And so that would also lead me to say that Rivendell is actually my favorite set. And so I think it's probably one of, if not the best Lego set ever made. And that's a very bold statement, but I truly believe it. And I think if we can just continue to get those high quality sets like the Harry Potter treatment with Lord of the Rings, and I think that was case in point that when in 2012 we were getting Lord of the Rings stuff that was higher quality than anything we had seen, and Lord of the Rings stuff from friggin' 12 years ago still holds up to today, really. They do. If you look at it compared to some of the Lego Star Wars stuff we're getting, you would really go, oh, wow. Lego is either really lazy or they don't have the same people working on the same stuff. And I think it's probably a mixture of both, but at the end of the day, it is a toy company. But I do think that getting Lord of the Rings in the future is more possible now than it ever has been. And I guess what I want to do is start a conversation in the comments or just DM me on Instagram where I want to get y'all's thoughts. I think this is something that is more legitimate now to have a conversation about than it ever has been. And especially now that, we've gotten these two sets, we've gotten these brickheads, and the movie is about to come here soon. And not to mention we have the War of the Rohirrim coming out this December. I think Lord of the Rings is trending in the positive direction, and I think Lego Lord of the Rings is to follow suit alongside those things. If you guys enjoy the video, please make sure to like the video, comment down below what you guys think about getting potentially more Lego Lord of the Rings sets in the future. If you guys did in fact enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on to get notified about my future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great and wonderful day.